It's now 7:01. I'd like to call the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education meeting to order. If everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I can sing it if you want. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Begin tonight with our three new board members. One of them not new, but one re-elected and two new board members with the oath of office. If Mr. Chesney, Mr. Stahl, and Mr. Connolly would please stand and raise their right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education according to the best of my ability. Congratulations, you're now a board member. Tonight we'll begin with the election of officers. I will be presiding during the nomination and election of the office of president. Nominations do not need a second. However, a motion to close nominations is in order and requires a second. Once nominations are closed, a roll call vote will be used as the method of recording votes. At the conclusion of the vote, the president will be seated and conduct the remaining election of officers. We will take as many nominations as possible before I close the process for the election of the president. So, are there any nominations for the election of president?
I'd like to nominate Jay Krause for president.
Mr. Connolly nominates Mr. Krause. Ms. Minor?
I second that.
She seconds the nomination.
I'd like to make a motion to close.
Are there any other people that would like to nominate a president? If not, we'll go with Mr. Trombley's nomination to close. We need support on the nomination to close.
Support.
We have support from Mr. Stahl. All those in favor to close the nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
We will take a roll call vote to see for the election of president. Mr. Chesney?
Mr. Krause. Aye.
Ms. Minor?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
And Mr. Krause?
Yes.
Mr. Krause is our new president, and he will preside.
Okay, now it's going to slow down a little bit. Do we have to open, Dr. Gray, a motion to open the nominations on each officer?
We do.
Okay, do we have a motion to open for the vice president?
I so motion.
Any nominations?
John Connolly. Dave Chesney.
Okay, we have a nomination for Mr. Connolly, Mr. Chesney. Are there any other nominations?
Motion to close.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of closing the nomination, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have a closed nomination. Can we get a roll call vote, please, for Mr. Connolly?
Mr. Krause?
No?
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Mrs. Minor?
No.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Chesney?
No.
Mr. Stahl?
No.
2-4. Now we vote for Mr. Chesney. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Chesney?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mrs. Minor?
Yes.
Mr. Krause?
Yes.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Chesney. It's the election of Vice President of the Board of Education. I'm sorry, if I'm not speaking up, please let me know. Now need to open the nomination for the secretary. Do I have a motion?
Motion to open the
Nomination for secretary.
Beth Minor.
Beth Minor?
Any additional nominations for secretary?
Motion close.
Second.
Roll call vote for Ms. Minor, please.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes?
Mrs. Meinert?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Chesney?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Now we need a nomination, or a motion to open the nomination for the treasurer.
Motion to open the nomination.
Second.
Do we have a nomination for the treasurer?
And Bill Trombley.
Any other nominations?
Ken.
We have a nomination for Mr. Trombley and for Mr. Stahl. Can we please have a motion to close the nomination?
Motion closed.
We have the motion to close. Can we please have a roll call vote for Mr. Trombley?
Do we have support?
Oh,
Support.
sorry. Keep me straight, please. Treasurer.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Chesney?
I'm sorry, who is this for?
This is for...
Mr. Trombley.
Trombley.
No.
Okay. Mrs. Meinert?
No.
Mr. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Kraus?
No. So that's a 3-3. We now have a vote for Mr. Stahl.
All right. Mr. Kraus?
Yes?
Mr. Conley?
No.
Mrs. Meinert?
Yes.
Mr. Chesney?
Yes.
Mr. Trombley?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
5-1. Congratulations, Mr. Stahl.
Thank you.
That concludes our election of the board members. Next thing up, roll call.
Okay. Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Mr. Conley?
Here.
Mrs. Meinert?
Here.
Mr. Chesney?
Here.
Mr. Trombley?
Here.
Mr. Stahl?
Here.
Next item is the approval of the agenda. I would like to add that we need to add a second call to the public, which would be for information. Last item.
An item I'd like to enter for future. You all have it before you. It's the Brighton Area School Board Code of Ethics. I'd like it for future, please.
Can we have a motion to accept the amended agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes 6-0. Next is our first call to the public for public participation. If you would like to speak to the board right now, please approach the podium. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address. I'll keep time for the first one.
This is nice.
I'll keep time.
Than usual. Ellen Lafferty,
That is a big
Brighton
podium.
resident, Mulby teacher. This is just weird. This is just different. I want to congratulate the new board. It's a wonderful day. It's great news for Brighton area schools, and we have good times ahead of us. I'm just really pleased tonight, and I know many of the community are as well. It's very good signs are happening for our students, our staff, and our community. I brought this up last time, but on the agenda tonight, you have the Neola policy, and on page 21 specifically, it's about the social media use. And I don't know if it's going to be a topic of discussion tonight or not. There's no check mark in the box to it, but does that mean that is going to be approved or disapproved or what?
If there's no check mark, it means it's not selected as an option, so it would not appear in our policy.
Oh, good. So we
Only
can
the
just
ones
cross
that you
it
see
off.
as a check mark will appear in our policy if voted on and passed by the majority of the board.
Good to know. Thank you. I'm done. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ellen. Anybody else like to speak to the board? I didn't see you behind the podium yet.
My
This
name
is
is
kinda
Jennifer
weird.
Bond, and I'm a Horning parent residing on Cowell Road, Brighton. And continuing with the shout outs of positive with Brighton, this past Thursday, I was fortunate enough to have a cold day. My district closed, and I was able to go and have lunch with my students. And the art teacher at Horning Elementary has done a wonderful job of really having integrated curriculum, unlike that I've ever seen in my history of being a teacher. And I made little packets, but just to give you a vision of what the hallways look like, she's taking the study of space and turning her whole entire, really that entire wing into a space studio or space station. And it's been really neat because throughout just being a parent, there's work play that gets sent home where kids have had to deconstruct small electronics and get the gears, and she's really talked about patterns and science and math, but incorporating also science study. And so the students are still learning about art and about artists, but really having that integrated curriculum that I think is definitely a point of pride for Brighton schools and Horning Elementary. And I made just a little visual for each of the board members so they could see, but I know many of them are Horning parents too, so we're very lucky to have Miss Vale at Horning Elementary, and a little positive shout out to continue this wonderful start of the 2015 year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the board? This will close our first call to the public. Board reports. Anybody have any board reports? Anything specific? Mr. Trombley?
Last Wednesday night, I'd like to thank Mrs. Short and Mrs. Frisky over at Maltby for their sixth grade choir concert, the Schoolhouse Rock. It also was Thursday night too. Great show. If you attended it, it was at the BCPA. And then again, Friday night at the BCPA, they had the acapella concert there. And they had groups from Michigan State. Brighton had 2 or 3 groups in it. Fantastic. First time I ever went to it, actually I went to go to the basketball game, my son and I, and it wasn't a basketball game. We go over there and it was great though. He really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I'd encourage you anytime they come back to go and see it.
Thanks, Mr. Trombley. Mr. Conley?
Yeah, Wednesday night is an automotive technology skills competition open house at the high school. Kind of go around the tennis courts and head in the back door if you want to go. It runs between 7 and 8:30 on Wednesday. Another item, recently we were able to get our school sold at Lindbaum. And there's been discussion about Brighton area schools chartering the school, and or the people would like us to, I should say. I would like to discuss, somebody asked me to see if we could do it, and I said, well, sure, I'll certainly ask. If we could, maybe the board can discuss maybe a consensus idea that we authorize our superintendent to investigate it, something like that. And if the board thinks that's the right thing to do.
Can we maybe add this to the agenda for the next, have Dr. Gray take some time to look at what the process is? Because obviously we've never done this.
Right.
We've never chartered a school. We're not professionals at chartering. So if you could maybe do some investigation and then bring it to the next board meeting, kind of tell us what our options are and what the process is and what road we need to go down to start taking the steps to have that discussion. I mean, I think, we need to do that. I think it's an option we need for our kids in the district. So if you could do that for the next meeting for an information, that'd be great. And then I've got one thing. Obviously, as you can tell, we're short one board member at the seat this time. Mr. Fiani resigned his position last week, and we'd first like to thank him for his service to the district. It wasn't always received well, but he really did a lot of work for the district, really pushed a lot of things through. So I'd like to thank him for that. But additionally, I'd like to see if Dr. Gray could maybe run us through the process and then what we need to do in next steps to fill this seat.
Sure. Our board policy 0142.5 talks about vacancies if we have a board member resign. In that, there are several things, and I won't read them all to you, but the gist of it is as soon as we received his resignation, which was last Friday, I believe the 9th, a 30-day window started ticking in terms of a time frame. In terms of what we have to do once there's a resignation, If the majority of the board is still seated, which we are, it shall be filled by the board using a procedure. And then the procedures, there's only 4. The board shall seek a qualified and interested candidates from the community through news, media, word of mouth, and contacts with organizations. We have already put together the press release that, at your wish, we will send out tomorrow morning. There isn't a time frame on that. Our suggestion would be for not more than a week in terms of publishing that. At least it'll give people time. Plus, we want to prepare the list so for the remainder. So letter B is all applicants are to submit a notice of their interest in writing, and it says to the board president. You'll do that through our office and bring it into STAR. The board shall interview all interested candidates to ascertain their qualifications at a meeting of the board, which we can do at our second meeting in January. And then appointment by the board to fill the vacancy shall just be by the majority vote of the full board. So in a nutshell, we will post that at your discretion if you tell us to do that tomorrow. We'll leave it open primarily for the remainder of the week. We'll put that list together. I'll share them with Mr. Kraus as the new board president, and then we'll bring them to the next meeting where a majority of the vote will seat that particular person. That's the process.
So,
Dr. Gray, do we have any applicants yet? Has anybody submitted their name?
No, there wouldn't be, no.
Have we put it out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you, Doctor. And then one other thing I wanted to add is, since we have a few new board members, if we could maybe at the next meeting, if it's convenient, is maybe put together a bond presentation, kind of let these guys know the status of where we are, what projects are completed, and where we're working. And I think the public would like to probably hear that as well. So if we could maybe get with the guys from Hawk and that, and Bart Mallow and see, or Bart Mallow changed their name, right?
No.
No.
Our SHW, architects change their name this year.
Change their name.
Yep.
But if we could get them, just kind of give an update to the new
We can.
members on where we stand, I think that'd be beneficial to
Yep.
everybody.
You know what though, Jay, I think, let's wait until after, they're very close to finalizing a scope of work and a budget for phase 3. I just assume, and that should happen within this month, okay? I would just assume, Jay, wait for that and get that done with, and then it'll be a complete wrap of what's gonna happen, okay? If we can wait until then, and
I
I
mean,
think
what do we
probably-
anticipate? Second meeting in February, maybe?
I would do the first meeting in February.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just, yeah.
Yeah.
The second meeting in January, we're going to do our budget amendment presentation, so that might be a little heavy to do both those.
February?
Yeah, let's do the 1st of February. It should
Our
be-
next January meeting, we'll do the budget amendment presentation, and it'll be for future action for you. So I think it would work out well if we did the bond presentation, the first one in February.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
And Mr. Trombley's right. We are about to have all the paperwork solidified to go out to bid. That would be a nice time to come present.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I just think it's a good, we talked in the past about that, to just bring the new members up to speed, the current members, and then the community as much as we can on where we stand on spending the taxpayers' dollars, right?
Could I ask something or just?
Yep. Nope, this is the time.
I think we have a chance to there's so many good things happening. This was brought up in Caldwell Public and Brighton area schools. And we have great potential for the future. And I think it would be excellent if we could have any kind of coaching. I don't know if there's anybody who could come in and coach us on how to be a highly effective school board. I assume there's an organization out there that could do that, that could coach us to do that could perhaps even help us to set up what our strategy is as we project in the future, help us develop perhaps a 5-year and a 10-year plan. Does such an animal
Go ahead,
exist?
Dr. Gray.
I can answer that if you'd like me to, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Okay, the association is MASB, Michigan Association of School Boards. Over a year ago, we had a training. We talked a little bit about that. It would be advantageous timing-wise because we're coming to the end of our 5-year strategic plan, and I'm about to start collecting data from the district, from our PTO groups, our building levels, our support staff, everybody who's a stakeholder, our community, our service groups in town. Because my job is to bring you all that information and frame it so that you can direct us on what the most important or critical factors you see as a group are heading forward for the next 5 years. So We budget for you to be able to have these trainings with MASB, and we'd be more than willing to set those up at the will of the majority of the board.
Now, they get membership too of MASB.
Correct.
Board.
So new board members get membership. There are also conferences throughout the year that we'd highly recommend attending. I know Mr. Trombley just went to one not too long ago, and some of you have gone to others in the past, so.
There's a new member one that might be good. That's
There's a
kinda-
new school
Okay.
board member,
You get the
so,
thing, so.
and we do budget for that, so we're more than willing to look at that, and we think it's a good investment.
It's what's it, a half day, like 4
There's
hours?
half day, there's full days, and there's even full weekend ones in terms
Because
of.
there's a whole process, you kind of collect credits and you.
There's actually leveling.
Levels of being a certified board member for that matter. And it's all sanctioned through MASB.
Great.
So,
But I'll get to work on, and I'll bring you also at the next meeting dates, possible dates for the training that we could have with them in terms of whole board and looking at strategic planning for the future, if that's what you all want me to do.
Thank you.
Dr. Gray, can I turn over the action items to
Yep.
you, starting with the organizational matters?
Yep. First, organizational matters, we need to set dates, times, locations, and Board of Education meetings. On page 6, you will see the ones that we recommend. I would say the only one that we'd like to flag on page 6 is the highlighted one halfway down in the column on the left. The Tuesday, May 26th of 2015. It's just the date that works better. That Monday didn't work, so we recommend the Tuesday.
Is Monday the holiday?
Monday's a holiday, that's why, that's Memorial Day. So. We didn't want to have back-to-back meetings in 2 weeks.
Right.
Be too hard to turn that around, so.
So take a look, is there a motion to approve the dates and times and locations?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, support, any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of supporting this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 6-0. Next item.
Depositories, we ask that you designate Comerica Bank, Michigan Commerce Bank, Michigan Investment Liquid Asset Fund, and Fifth Third Bank as depositories for funds of the Brighton area schools.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Signatories, we ask that in accordance with Michigan general school laws for general power school districts, Secretary is authorized to draw and sign orders upon the treasurer for all monies to be distributed from the general fund, special revenue funds, all debt retirement funds, building and site, agency funds, and further that such order be countersigned by the President of the Board of Education.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support, please.
We have a motion, support, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor of supporting this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 6-0. Next one.
That the following personnel be designated as signatories for the following funds: Gregory B. Gray, Superintendent of Schools, and/or Maria Gistinger, Assistant Superintendent of Finance. Certificates of deposit, savings account, imprest fund, all internal accounts, payroll/accounts payable accounts, money market accounts, wire transfer or of funds, and automated clearinghouse transfer of funds. John Thompson, Athletic Director of Athletic Officials, entry fee accounts, and Janice Ramirez and Tammy Monroe for Tot Spot field trip accounts.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, support, any discussion?
What's the impressed fund?
Like a trust and agency account, if we happen to have, like our payroll account would be an impressed fund, we keep $25,000 in there and just stays that amount. We transfer the payroll amount into it, payroll clears, it's back to $25,000.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dr. Gissinger, at the end of the day, with these funds and dollars, who are the responsible parties? Who takes, is the board responsible for the transfers? Are you responsible? Obviously, they're giving you the responsibility,
We're responsible to you.
and the board.
When you pass a budget, it's in line with this.
Thank you.
And no further discussion. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes 6-0.
Authorization to transfer funds. We ask that you vote on the following employees that are authorized to transfer automated clearinghouse funds, subject to the listed limitations. All funds, unlimited authority, superintendent and assistant superintendent of finance, and all funds, $3 million limit, assistant superintendent for finance designee.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 6-0.
Treasurer bond. The treasurer of the Board of Education is not involved in the handling of money, and therefore it is not necessary to provide a treasurer bond. Whereby the authority for money matters rests with the school district employees, be it resolved that the Board of Education shall not provide a treasurer bond.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 6-0.
In legal matters, we ask that you retain the services of Troon Law Firm.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Did you get those? No. Moved by Trombley, supported by Stahl for the legal matters. Any discussion? Oh, it was John? Sorry.
Sorry.
This is my bad here. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes 6-0. For action.
First, we ask that you approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion, support, any discussion? You have to abstain. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 2 abstentions. You can't approve the meeting minutes and you weren't out. So that passes 4-0 with 2 abstentions. That's technicality, you'll get it.
Good catch.
I didn't know at first either. Next item is Neola policy.
For action on Neola policy, we recommend that the board approve policy 7540.04 on educational technology, acceptable use and safety, 8500. Food services, 8540. Vending machines, 9211. District support organizations, and 9800 high school diplomas to World War II, Korean conflict, and Vietnam era veterans. I haven't received any questions in relation to the changes, and you have them in front of you.
We have a motion to accept these Neola policies as presented.
So moved.
Support.
All right, we have a motion to approve and support. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 6-0. No future action, curriculum instruction.
We actually have one for future that Mr. Stahl asked to put on.
Right, sorry. You amended.
We also skipped over the for action on financial statement and deficit elimination. Letter C and D.
Yeah. It's stuck to my last Neola policy.
Good evening, boards. You have the financial statement for November of 2014 in your board packet. These would typically be presented to you at the second meeting of the previous month, but because it was the holiday, we didn't have a second meeting in December. So now you have November's financial statements, and you can expect December's at the next meeting, so it'll be back to back. As far as the financial statements go, I don't have anything unusual to report. Everything seems to be tracking along the lines of our budget.
Do we have a motion to accept the financial statement for November?
So moved. Support.
Motion, support, any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes 6-0. Monthly deficit elimination plan.
Also in your packet is the deficit elimination plan or report for November 2014 that is a requirement of the Michigan Department of Education. They already have this in their hands, and so we're just asking that the board approve this at this time.
We We have a motion to approve the monthly deficit elimination plan.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
When will Lindbaum show up? Will that be like January?
I was going to cover that in my for information, but I'll discuss that now if you prefer. Okay.
No more discussion?
Well, I have a question too. The vote on the pay to participate, is that part of this too, or is that?
The vote that the board took on the pay to participate in the senior dues, that was to take effect in July of 2015. It was for the 15-16 school year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes 6-0. And now down to for information, curriculum and instruction.
We got to go for future with Mr. Stahl.
Oh, see, it's the vice effort.
We got you.
Do I get freebies this first one?
Yes.
So for future action, go ahead, Mr. Stahl.
Repeating that.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'd like for future to put in Brighton Area School Board Code of Ethics, a copy which all of you have in front of you. If you don't, I have more.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stahl. Now, curriculum and instruction.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a number of things that I could update the board with this evening. This is the end of the first semester for our 5th grade through 12th grade. We have final exams coming up. There's a lot of assessing going on this month. Our RTI at K8 are doing their universal screening again and be culminating this month with data team meetings to discuss the outcomes of that data. We also have, at this time of the year, we begin a lot of planning for next year. So I've been having a number of conversations with the high school in particular on courses being proposed or changes in current courses for next year. And Mr. Gavin Johnson will be bringing that to our Curriculum Council School Improvement meeting on this coming Thursday evening. And I'd also like to offer, since we won't be hearing about the bond at the next board meeting, I would appreciate a little opportunity to update the new board members, especially on our district improvement plan. I think we had our buildings come before the board, as you remember, those of you who are current members. And so a lot of work's been going on this year. I'd like to update the board, and I could take that time at the next meeting, if
Next
that's all
meeting?
right.
Yeah, we can add that to the agenda for information. Thank you, Dr. Suri. Finance?
Yes, you have in your packet the bills of December 5th through the 19th, and the item I wanted to discuss with you was the amended budget. I am planning on bringing it to you at the next board meeting. It would be for future action, so you have a couple meetings to review it before you vote on it. And we were delaying the amended budget slightly just to see if Lindbaum was going to close because we were getting close to the end of our due diligence period. And so it just made sense to delay the budget amendment so we could either include Lindbaum in that amendment or not. And it will be included in the budget amendment in January. So you'll be asked to vote on that in February. And as far as the changes with our budget, it would take a formal amendment by the board in a form of a budgetary resolution to change any of the numbers that you see in the financial statements or the deficit elimination plan. So you would know if there was changes because you would actually have voted on that. So you can be prepared to incorporate all of the changes that occurred in the district from when the the projected budget was approved in June until the basically through January. So it's a good capture. It would be a good amendment because of the timing and because the fiscal year is well underway. So you can expect that at the next meeting.
And then for future action in the first one in February.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, will that show Lindbaum against the legacy debt then?
Well, we don't need the sale of Lindbaum to eliminate our deficit. We're out of a deficit without the sale of Lindbaum, but it is a revenue line item in the general fund, so we'll go to the general fund balance.
Thanks, Dr. Gifsinger. Human Resources?
The only thing in human resources as we switch over semesters, we have some people that were on leave for the first semester that will be re-entering. We've also had some request a leave that will appear before you as we move forward, but other than that, not much in terms of human resources. that's kind of where we're at.
Superintendent.
The only thing I have superintendent-wise tonight is it's my January contractual obligation to let you know you need to evaluate me, so I'm doing that. And then the only other thing I have under superintendent is it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Ryan Schaller tonight. Ryan is our new student rep for our Board of Education. I got to know Ryan very well this year. Just a really, really sharp young man, and I really think he'll add a lot to the conversation. So thank you, Ryan, for agreeing to be a part of this.
All right. Ryan, do you have anything for addressing us tonight?
Yeah, so I brought up a couple things, just some stuff that's been going on in the high school as part of my student report. In terms of athletics, the Brighton High School varsity hockey team was in the UP this past weekend playing non-conference games. They won their first game against Houghton in overtime and their second game against Calumet as well. Like Dr. Suri said, exams are at the end of January next week, Thursday, Friday, the 22nd and 23rd. Before every quarter exam, we have a thing at the high school called Sip and Study. This is put on by the teachers and the administration. Students come and review for exams, and they can receive any help they need, as well as the added bonus of food and beverage. Thanks to Dr. Gray, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Vecchioni, teachers are no longer able to start next quarter material before the exams or give tests during the exam week. This is a huge stress reliever to students, and I know we all appreciate it. The Winterfest dance is also coming up. This will be Saturday, February the 7th. The Sophomore Class Council organizes this. And then also this week, the leadership class, we are doing our annual fundraiser. This year we chose our organization to be Friendship Circle. It's an organization based out of West Bloomfield. They focus on attaining funds and helping special needs students throughout southeastern Michigan. As part of our fundraiser this Wednesday, we have a Mr. Bulldog male pageant show. This is the first time something like it will be done at the high school, and I know the school will be very excited. This is 7:30 Wednesday night. Then on Thursday night, we have our junior-senior volleyball game at 7:30 as well. Both of these events will serve as fundraisers to accumulate money for the aforementioned charity. That's all I have.
Thanks, Ryan. Did I get
Before we jump, though, Ryan, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself, though? We didn't get an introduction, so I was going to brag, but I thought you could do it instead.
So like Dr. Gray said, my name is Ryan Schaller. I am the student body president at Brighton. I'm involved with a lot of things such as leadership class, student council, BCom. Besides that, I guess I do take a lot of time to pursue my academics. Other than that, yeah.
So you decided where you're going to college yet?
I have a couple options already. Right now I'm looking at the University of Michigan. I got my acceptance letter before Christmas break.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I also am waiting to hear back from Georgetown University in DC. I was deferred early action, but I'm still hoping for a regular decision at April 1st.
Nice. Nice. That's good to hear. Thanks for being here. Oh, that's right. Second call to the public. So now's our time. We have our second call to the public. If you'd like to approach the podium and address the board, this is the time to do that. No one for the second call to the public. This closes the second call to the... Oh. That's okay. We're moving fast.
Who proposed the motion and who seconded it for the charter school? I'm just curious. I was in the bathroom with Lainey.
There was
It wasn't.
Put it on the agenda? No?
Yes, put it on the agenda, yes. We've asked Dr. Gray to
Give a report.
give a report on what requirements you needed, what the process was, and if we were to take action, how we would go about doing that.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the podium. This is fabulous.
It is nice.
I presented the board with no less than 35 specific questions that I would like to have answered in that report. I will send each one of those questions to you and copy each one of you on the board. They are very specific regarding our legal liabilities in terms of, criminal and civil liabilities for somebody who is on the record with such a tendency to broadcast very controversial and insensitive views. So I guess what I'd like to say, I wasn't prepared for that. I'm a little bit surprised and baffled. I really thought that was off the table, and it goes to speak to the fact that the board really should have voted to rescind the contract when I asked them to, because
now we're still entertaining this, and we are going to still be in the news about this. And we're going to be in the news as being associated with somebody whose views of public education are negative. He's on the record not believing in public education. He's on the record believing in Christian education. He's on the record saying that he wants to take public tax dollars and funnel them into Christian education, and that Christian education had the exact same name, the exact same acronym, and the exact same logo, and the exact same photograph, and the exact same verbiage, word for word, as the American Classical Academy that he wants to now associate with our public school, which is prohibited by the First Amendment, as well as federal law, as well as state law, and as well as state constitutional statute from being involved with. Anyway, so I apologize for not being prepared, but please, Dr. Gray, I want all those questions answered, and I will set a call to the public and come up as many times as I need to find out, where we're on the hook with this, because I think it's in the position we're in right now, to entertain this is nothing less than mutiny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Gray, could you explain the process one more time because again, I think there's a lot of things that need to happen between tonight.
But I even think that's why we need him to bring us.
I agree, but that's my
info.
point. Maybe again, just remind everybody of, it just can't happen like that.
No. There's a process for chartering. I actually have it on the corner of my desk. I'll bring it next time. If Sue Ellen could please email me those questions directly, I'll answer all of those. My understanding from earlier tonight, all you want me to do is bring you the information on the how, not that you're putting on there for if you're going to do it or not. And once you have all the information, obviously you guys make the decision at that point. But I can explain the how, and I can also answer Ms. Eichen's questions without a problem, and I can present that at the...
I think that's what we need to be very transparent with the public. I mean, we have an organization coming seeking our assistance. We just can't say no, we can't say yes. We have to go through the right process that we need to make sure we're making the right decision for the school district and for the taxpayers of the area. So I just think we need to take this one step at a time and look at it as smartly as we can. Ms. Conlon?
On that note, the charter schools fall under state constitution.
Charter schools are public schools.
Correct. So they fall under the laws of the state of Michigan.
That's correct.
So, in that note, compliance and so on, and that's really ways we bring forward what the responsibilities of our district would be if it was accepted, what our oversight commitments are versus the state, and how the state's oversight, how they're committed to their oversight as well, and they have to follow the law just like a public school.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I guess I'm confused. Sherry Osterman, 311 School Lake Drive, Brighton. I guess I'm confused as to the charter school being on the agenda. I previously thought that it was something that was voted on first and then put on the agenda, and then it couldn't have a vote until it was actually on the agenda for discussion.
You got it?
Yeah.
But then in the previous meeting with Mr. Fiane, he said that he could put anything on the agenda that he wanted to at any time. So my question is, will this be an item on the agenda for the next meeting?
It will be a for information item. It will not be for action. It will not be for future action. We've asked Dr. Gray to provide the board with background information on the process that we required to charter a school, what our risks are, all those things, so we can have a discussion, and at that point we'll determine whether we want to move forward, whether we think it's a smart idea, whether there's too much risk for us, because we've never held a charter before. I mean, I think there's a lot of information that we would all like to get, and I can tell you, I'm not leaning one way or the other. I'm not an expert, and I want to have Dr. Gray, who is an expert at this, to give it the information to all the board members so we can make the appropriate decision to move forward or not to move forward. But it's not an action item on the agenda. It's for information only.
Thank you for answering the question. I know that you're not required to. I appreciate you answering it. But then I do want to follow up on that. Once this is discussed and it is brought to the public's attention and you dive into the information, would it have to be a continued item on every agenda until there is a final vote on it?
No.
So, wait, you're asking a different question.
I'm sorry.
So, if it's for information, it's just a report. There's never any action on for information. If it's for future action or for action, and it's tabled, it remains on the agenda until it's either voted up or voted down. At this point, that's our board policy. I can't remember the number, but once it's on there, if it's tabled, it's supposed to remain on the agenda until it's actually addressed. At this point, it is not on the agenda, so it does not fall under that particular board policy.
Thank you for clarifying.
Lainey wanted to say something.
No.
I just want to point out that charter schools do in fact use public tax dollars to finance their schools. They, in the case of the American Classical Academy, are using the curriculum that was come up with by Hillsdale College, which is not only a private school, but a private school that refuses to have any federal oversight whatsoever, including any compliance with even taking basic statistics on the racial makeup in their school. Public tax dollars are used for charter schools and for the betterment of many communities. For the betterment of this community, in the case of Cheryl Stockwell, our issue is with this particular charter school and its plans to have a non-elected school board. And they won't have public meetings like we have public meetings. And there go my 35 questions about whether or not I'll have access to the classrooms and whether or not I'll have access to the buildings and whether or not I, as a taxpayer, will have access to their records and whether or not I'll have access to their curriculum and whether or not I'll have access to all the things I have access to here. I know how much money you make. You're a public employee. I go over to Cheryl Stockwell, I don't have the same privilege or right, as it were. So, there are a lot of things that you can discover about a public charter school that don't paint the, when Dr. Ray comes back and talks to you, because something may be in our financial interest or not in our financial interest, something may be in our political interest or not in our political interest. But the bigger picture here is, no matter what's in our interest today, this decision has momentum that makes it more or less permanent. Because it's very hard, as we all know, to close a school. So when we make a pretty much permanent decision, we have to think about not who they are today, but who they're going to be tomorrow and next year and 10 years from now. And I got to tell you, they're not even making a good first impression. So if you want to attach yourself permanently to an institution that's already got a reputation, that's earned itself 2 different articles in national blogs because of its, anyway, let's not fix what's not broken. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Last call of the public is closed.
Just to end on a very positive
That's
note,
okay.
January is School Board Appreciation Month, so I'd like to welcome those of you that just joined and thank those of you that have spent many years serving the community of Brighton, and happy Board Appreciation Month. Enjoy it.
Thanks. No one else? That closes the second call of the public, and this meeting is adjourned.